Hi to everyone, this is Beaver and Board Games, and here is the question. Are you ready to look on the tiny epic defenders in a really dark war? Because today on the review the first expansion for these tiny epic defenders, the Dark War. And you better believe me, it is really huge, and it brings to the base a bunch of new heroes, their enemies, epic foes. But one of the main new features this expansion do, that changes the game by escort of the caravans, and also special Dark War regions which not only replace the base region cards but also change the mechanics of the game. And of course, that's not all we will talk about in this review. But first of all, I want to thank to the Gamelin Games for sending me the review copy of this expansion. Battles in Augmur were very hard, and the dire enemies managed to enter outer regions of the city. And now Augmur needs its defenders as never. Heroes must rise up, unite and risk everything to protect people that remain and resist enemies. There are a lot of components in the box of the Dark War expansion for the tiny epic defenders, and now let's start from the components that extend the variability of the base game. New 5 hero cards. A new classes comes into the game. Dink, the gnome, she is genius, she can draw 3 skill cards at the start of the game and keep 2, while other heroes can keep only 1. The Montadea, she is a Psyan, and she can mass heal. When you defend against a dire enemy, you may pay 2 experience points to heal 1 heart each to all other defenders or restore one other defender to full health. What is experience points? We will talk a little bit later. Adelphus, Lion King, he has the ability of transport. When you move, another defender in your same region may move with you. Really cool hero. Or the Harpier, Peakfall Gladiator, he can once on your turn your fight may deal 1 extra damage. Also in the box there are new 6 epic foes. Tyrannosaurus, most epic of the epic foes, Chomp. If a defender ends their turn in the Tyrannosaurus region, they immediately lose health equal to the number of these pictures in the hit point token space. 1 on the 10 and 9, 2 by 4 and 4, 3, 2, 1 has 3 these symbols. Lycan King has the ability when a defender enters the Lycan King's region, immediately increase this 1 threat in that region. Great. Or Dracolic, Relic Shield. On these pictures, to 5, may only be damaged by a defender who has an artifact, unless no defenders have artifacts, in which case it costs 3 actions to fight him. And some kind of robot here, automaton. He can self-repair and gain 2 heart instead of 1 on these symbols. New 6 dire enemies cards and artifact cards. And now let's talk about the new things that come only in this expansion. For example, 7 Dark War region cards. They are double-sided as well as in the base game, but here every region has hostile side which has nothing good for the players, and their friendly side and helpful abilities. Playing with the Dark War regions, they will replace base regions during the game, but not all at once. And they can harm players or help them depending on their side up. Every region except the capital has its own setup and components. Fleet dices and boards, storm tokens, great tree, or manticore, etc. And that's all make the game much more attractive. But also in this expansion changes the winning conditions of the game, and heroes must not only just fight against enemies and also need to escort caravans to win the game. 6 caravans, which looks like these tiny epic cards, are just awesome, and each of them has a special symbol down below which relate to 6 outer regions. Every of the first 6 turns, one of these caravans puts onto one of the corresponding regions, and the players need to escort each of them to the capital before the finish of the final battle against the epic foe. Hero has to move from the region that contains a caravan and need to spend 1 experience point to move caravan with him. What is experience point, you may ask? And I can answer. This is a new thing that comes in the Dark War expansion. Every player before the start of the game gets one of these experience cards. From now, hero can level up, getting XP and spend it for escorting caravans. During the game, players can get experience points for just spending actions points for this, or defending a region against the dire enemy, or even 2 experience points escorting caravan to the capital. And also every hero gains 3 XP for defeating a general, about which we will talk sometime later. Here is the deck of the skill cards, new abilities to the players during the game, and before the start every player gets 2 of these cards and need to choose one to keep and discard the other. When a hero reaches 8 XP, he may spend them to level up. After this, player draws a skill card and places it up next to the existing skill cards and also restore to the full health. And now let's talk about the main changes that brings this expansion to the game. Here is the mode card, which lets players to play single mode or campaign mode, which lasts 3 games in a row. In the campaign mode, players use the campaign side of the card. Some steps of the setup also changed, but the most important, the general cards come into the play. This general seems like epic foes, but a little bit easier. And the first 2 of 3 games in the campaign finish the fight against general, and only the 3rd game leads to the battle against epic. And heroes need to complete all the 3 of these battles in a row to win the whole game. After every battle, the new preparation must be made and the new enemy cards must be added to the deck. And the hostile regions flip to the friendly side and new 1 hostile region comes. The single variant has name The Great Battle, and the setup is most similar to the base game, except the hostile and the friendly regions add. And some new additions: caravans, skill cards, new enemies and experience points. And other whole game lasts to the end of the fight with the epic foe. Just an incredible how many things God Olms managed to include into the box of this expansion, and everything that appears here does not make worse or make game harder, but only enrich it and adds variability and possibilities to the base game. Yes, now you need not only to win the battles against enemies and epic foes, but also a new quest appears, to escort caravans to the great capital Augmore. Maybe it's like artificially complicated, but first of all, it makes sense because of the story of the Dark War. And the second, adding the experience points to the game, it makes sense in mechanics too, because in fact experience track needs not only for getting skill cards, but also for escorting caravans. And speaking about the leveling up and getting skill cards, really it's a great idea to add these to the tiny epic. It makes game more variable by strategies and makes every defender a unique team member with his own unique skills except base abilities. And this is the coolest thing in this expansion is the campaign mode. The experience points and the leveling up makes sense and brings encourage into the game. Also, I want to say about the new regions, which now can be hostile or friendly, and that's really cool. And depending on these outer regions, defenders must adapt their strategies every change of the region. And also everything about what I didn't say, extra heroes, epic foes, artifacts, that all takes the replayability up to the heaven. And to my opinion, this expansion, the Dark War, just a must-have. Of course, if you like the base game or the tiny epic defenders, because it really makes the game level up. In the end, I want to admit the small In the end, I want to admit the small thing in the end of the rulebook, the campaign epilogue. When defenders finish the campaign, win or lose, they can read the appropriate epilogue based on how far they survived to learn Augmos's fate. And this tiny thing makes a huge work and gives a lot of entourage and logics to the company as the impressions of the game. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, thumb up and subscribe to the channel. Today with you was Beaver and Board Games. See you next time.